Who was the greatest leader in the history of the Jewish people? Without question, it is Moshe Rabbeinu. Yet, with all his success, we find that Moshe is called the most humble man on the face of the earth. V'ha'ish Moshe anav me'od mikol ha'adam asher al pnei ha'adama. And we see an example of this humility in the very first word of our Parshas Vayikra. The word Vayikra means, and Hashem called out. But if you look at that word in a Chumash or in the Torah, you find that the Aleph at the end of the word Vayikra is small. Why is that the case? So Rashi explains to us that Moshe intended that when God called out to him, it be documented in history as just simply being Vayikra, that God sort of appeared to Moshe by happenstance, just happened to be, without any specific reason or specific regard of affection. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, however, understood what Moshe was doing and said, Moshe, no. You write Vayikra. Write Vayikra with an aleph to show that I specifically called out to you because of how dear you are to me. But Moshe couldn't handle such a thought, such an idea of looking haughty to future generations, and therefore Moshe wrote the aleph, of course listening to what Hashem had commanded him. He wrote it a little smaller than it is normally written to show his sense of humility. And Rabbi Simcha Banim of Pshischa explains that Moshe was on such a high level, he never allowed it to change who he was. He never allowed his ego to get a hold of him and change the type of person he was with his interactions with other people or even on his own mindset. And he explains Moshe's understanding of humility to an individual who climbs up to the top of a mountain and is standing on the top of the mountain and is able to look as far as the eye could see and is able to look down at all the little people who are standing below. That individual does not fool himself to think that they are so much greater than the other people who are down below. That individual understands that the reason why they are able to look down at those people is only because of the big mountain upon which they are standing. And so Moshe had the same attitude when it came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God recognizing him. Moshe's attitude was, yes, Hashem may be recognizing him, but it's not because of his personal greatness. Rather, it's because he was a shaliach, a messenger of Hashem. And therefore, just as the person standing on top of the mountain realizes that they are only high and they're only big because of the mountain, so too Moshe in his humility stressed to others that he was only considered to be big by HaKadosh Baruch Hu simply because he was doing the job that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had asked him, the task that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had urged him to take when taking the Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish people, out of Mitzrayim. It's a tremendous lesson for us in life. As we go through life, and as we start to mark off the checks in our success box, and we succeed, and sometimes we stumble, and then we get up and we succeed again, there is a tendency and a human element that may cause us to become a little bit egotistical, may cause us to lift ourselves up beyond where we should be. And by lifting ourselves up, we start pushing everyone else down. We should heed and learn the message of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is have a me'od shval ruach, that we should try to be as humble as possible, as HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be. The lesson of Moshe's life is that success is not determined by how high a person thinks of themselves. Success is determined by their actions and the regard that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for them. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.